Oh my God. Seen anything like this? Never, ever.
From giant creatures to prehistoric fish appearing uninvited.
When they say prehistoric, it certainly looks like it's something out of the deep.
And even some skulls that seem to belong to another world.
We don't normally see these animals because they live on the bottom of the continental shelf.
You never know what will wash ashore. So tag along, because oceans are definitely not as dull as they sometimes appear to be.
This entire operation, a lot of it depends on how these animals respond once they've got water underneath them and are free floating. So
life is very unpredictable, even for the ocean's scariest creatures. In this event, up to 90 whales became lifeless, and 180 more were stranded in a remote bay in southern Australia. 2 large pods of long-finned pilot whales had become stuck on sandbars in Macquarie Harbour, Tasmania. Images showed shallow waters filled with struggling whales.
These animals use a biological sonar known as echolocation. Maybe something has startled them acoustically underwater, which caused them to maybe scare.
By the next day, about a third were already gone, and rescuing the survivors took several days. Though mass strandings happen in Tasmania, such a large group had not been seen in over a decade, leaving a haunting message of nature's challenges. Squid Invasion. Sea creatures like squid are usually found in depth in the ocean, not on the beaches. But on December 9th, 2012, something rare happened when hundreds of Humboldt squid started washing ashore in Aptos, California. The squid, known as jumbo squid, are sensitive to changes in their environment. Strong currents, sudden temperature shifts, or low oxygen levels can disorient them, leading them to strand on beaches. Another possible reason is their natural spawning behavior. This rare sighting was a once-in-a-decade event, giving beachgoers a unique and unforgettable experience. Dozens of sharks wash ashore.
Mystery continues. Dozens of sharks that washed up on the western shore of Mobile Bay are gone today.
Beaches are places for humans, not for the ocean's scary predators. But sometimes, even they end up there. On a fine morning near Dauphin Island, Alabama, dozens of lifeless sharks washed up on shore.
Several years ago, we used to run a gill nets out in the bay and for mullet and trout and stuff such as that. And sand shark would get in the net too. There's several hundred of them.
Scientists suggest several factors could be to blame, like changes in water temperature, low oxygen levels, or natural behavior patterns. Sharks are sensitive to their environment, and disruptions such as pollution or changes in currents can cause them to become disoriented.
And we saw them walking back. They put this big gill net out there. This morning we saw something. We saw a lot of stuff flopping in it. Yeah, they were alive this morning.
This event shows us that life in the ocean is challenging, even for its most fearsome creatures. Santa Maria shock. In Chile, a strange event occurred in which thousands of lifeless squid washed up on the beach, creating a shocking sight. Squids are sensitive to changes in water temperature, oxygen levels, and food availability, which can disorient them and cause strandings. They may also wash up after spawning when their bodies become weak. The massive number of squid washing ashore suggests there's more uncertainty in the ocean than we fully understand. Mysterious occurrence.
The Climate Calamity or a natural disaster. 2,500 dead seals on the coast of the Caspian Sea in Russia.
Have you ever seen seals on a beach? Well, this happened once on the Russian coastline, where around 2,500 lifeless seals were found on the Caspian Sea coast. Initial reports had only mentioned 700 seals, but the number quickly grew. The cause could be a disease outbreak, like the Phocine distemper virus, which has caused large-scale seal losses in the past before. Pollution, environmental changes, or even human activities like fishing nets might have also contributed. With 2,500 seals involved, this was one of the biggest events in the seal world. Stranded octopus. Beaches are fun places, not graveyards, right? But in Portugal, one turned into just that when thousands of lifeless octopuses washed ashore, likely due to several factors. A sudden change in water temperature, like a heat wave or unusual weather, could have stressed them. Algae blooms may have reduced oxygen, suffocating marine life. Overfishing, lack of food, or disease could also play a role. This unusual event shows us the fragility of ocean ecosystems when sudden environmental changes occur. Surprise encounter. A swimmer would usually expect to see fish, right? But as this guy swam through the water, something unusual caught his attention. At first, he thought it was an octopus drifting by, but as the creature got closer, he quickly realized it wasn't. It was a Mediterranean beach squid.
This is insane. I have finally caught the Mediterranean beach squid.
Seeing one during the day was really strange, as these squid are known to appear only at night. This rare daytime sighting made the swimmer amazed. It shows that the ocean holds many surprises, and the next time you take a swim, you might just come across something unexpected.
Man, like, look at this thing, bro. Fluorescent pink, they only come out at night.
So keep your eyes open, because you never know what's out there. Red crab invasion.
It looked like a red carpet, a good foot to 16 inches thick. And it kind of took me back a little.
Have you ever seen a red carpet on water? Never, right? But look at this. Millions of red crabs appeared on the shore of California. Scientists believe this red crustacean carpet could provide important clues about changing weather patterns.
We don't normally see these animals because they live on the bottom of the continental shelf.
The crabs likely traveled north, attracted by unusually warm water patches stretching from southern California to the Gulf of Alaska. These warm waters also drew schools of bluefin tuna as they followed their food source. Now, the once pristine beaches are covered in lifeless crabs, a strange and smelly suggestion of nature's unpredictability. Boat versus feeding frenzy. You've seen sharks' violent behavior toward other creatures, but you haven't seen it with boats. Well, take a look at this. Not just one, but many sharks were in a feeding frenzy 15 miles off the coast of Louisiana. A fisherman was out fishing when the sharks started following his boat. He said they pursued him for 10 miles. A shark feeding frenzy happens when a group of sharks gathers in one area to eat, usually because there's a lot of food nearby, like a school of fish or an animal in a bad condition. During a frenzy, sharks swim quickly and aggressively, trying to catch as much as they can, or maybe they're after this boat now.
Getting soaking wet.
You might have heard the phrase, as you fish, something fishes you. Well, something like that seems to be happening in this video. Rio Stingray Mystery.
Now, dozens of dead stingrays appeared on a beach in Rio de Janeiro this week. The death further sparked confusion and concern in the local community.
These beachgoers expected to see the beautiful sea, but instead, they came across a sight they weren't expecting. Dozens of lifeless stingrays appeared on a beach in Rio de Janeiro this week, leaving the local community confused and concerned. Fishermen were the first to spot the unusual sight, but what struck them most was the mystery surrounding it. Oxygen levels or pollutants should have affected other fish too, yet only the stingrays were found. Investigations continue, and many are unsure of what truly caused this event. Beached jellyfish.
Find jellyfish scattered everywhere, washing up on our beaches. We're talking from St. Johns County to Atlantic Beach.
Jellyfish are ocean creatures, not ones that usually appear on the beach, but they showed up in hundreds on Jacksonville area beaches.
I love animals, and I know they don't think a whole lot, but it's still really sad, but also fascinating.
Experts think strong waves and changes in the wind and weather might have pushed the jellyfish away from their normal home.
Usually they've been rolled around in the waves and most of their stinging cells have been knocked off, but most of the tentacles are broken off.
Changes in water temperature or salt levels could have confused them, causing them to float closer to the shore. Events like this show how easily marine life can be affected by changes in their environment. Mysterious invaders. Beaches don't come in blue, right? But Oregon beaches did once, when piles of blue sea creatures appeared on the shore. These jellyfish-like creatures were actually Valella, also known as by-the-wind sailors. They are small, bluish organisms, but they're not true jellyfish. Instead, they are floating hydroids that use their sail-like structure to catch the wind and move across the ocean's surface. Strong winds or currents can push large groups of them onto the beach, especially during seasonal changes, making the beaches look blue. Whale of a headache.
A mystery washes ashore on a New Jersey beach. A skull showed up Monday on the sand at Island Beach State Park in Ocean County.
It's not uncommon for strange sea creatures to wash up on beaches, but it's rare to find their remains floating. After a storm, a large skull appeared on a beach, sparking curiosity. Photos of the skull spread quickly, and experts were called in to investigate. After studying it for a few days, they confirmed it likely belonged to a marine animal. The storm's strong waves had pushed the skull ashore, showing how the ocean can sometimes reveal unexpected surprises from its depths. Whale Nado. Have you ever seen a giant whale on the beach? Well, beachgoers in South Africa did when the carcass of a massive whale washed ashore. Curious onlookers gathered around, and some even carefully took the sample from it. In many coastal communities, this is a way to use the whale's remains for food and other resources. This unusual event highlights how people and nature can come together in unexpected ways, offering support to local communities in times of need. Eel Abduction. People have seen many sea creatures washing up on the beach, but never a monster, until one appeared in Mexico. A strange eel-like sea creature with jagged teeth was found washed ashore, leaving people in shock. At first, a woman walking along the beach thought it was just a rope from a boat, but after sharing photos online, people began guessing it was a sea serpent or a moray eel. Experts later identified it as a fang-toothed snake eel, an in-depth sea creature rarely seen by humans. A similar creature washed up in Texas after Hurricane Harvey, sparking curiosity once again. Sturgeon discovery.
A creature from the deep that washed ashore in Ocean County, New Jersey had people asking, what is it?
Watching strange sea creatures on the beach is an experience, but finding one from prehistoric times is even more fascinating.
When they say prehistoric, it certainly looks like it's something out of the deep.
This happened when a rare Atlantic sturgeon washed ashore on a New Jersey beach, leaving everyone confused. The 5-foot-long fish had tough, armor-like scales and features that set it apart from sharks. Known to have existed for over 200 million years, the sturgeon is one of the oldest living species. Once overfished for its eggs, the species is now protected, making any sighting of it, even washed ashore, a rare and exciting event. Mass stranding of orcas. Every day in the ocean is tough for small creatures, but sometimes it gets even harder for its biggest predators. On February 7, 2005, near Idomari Port, Ryusu, on the eastern side of the Shiratoko Peninsula, 10 or 11 giant predatory whales got trapped in thick sea ice. This happens when fast-moving sea ice closes around the animals, leaving them with little space to move or escape. Such events can occur in the Arctic or Antarctic regions, where changes in temperature or currents cause the ice to shift quickly. Stranded whales can struggle to breathe since they need open water or breathing holes. These incidents are rare, but can be very risky unless the animals manage to escape or are rescued. Divers versus tiger sharks. Scuba diving is often said to be fun, but not everyone knows about the other side, which isn't so fun. In 2019, while a group of divers was exploring the ocean, one of them had a terrifying experience. A Fiji shark, one of the strongest and most aggressive sharks, went after him. The shark's sharp teeth were right on his tank, trying to catch him. Thankfully, the shark didn't manage to grab hold, and it swam away. It looked like the diver might never want to dive again, as the ocean doesn't give much of a chance to weak. Tuna feeding frenzy. You've seen many giant predators in the ocean, but have you ever seen a giant tuna?
Those are like 800 pounders all day.
Well, take a look at this. Some fishermen spotted a huge tuna in the middle of the ocean. It was so big, they even threw their fish into the water just to get a closer look at it. It was said to be the largest tuna ever seen, and it sparked the biggest tuna feeding frenzy, making it one of the rarest sights in the ocean. So, next time you're out on the water, bring some fish to throw in the ocean. You might just get a glimpse of some of the rarest sea creatures, ones most people have never seen or even heard of.
Those are like 800 pounders all day, 1,000 maybe.
Whales mass strandings. It's common for humans to catch ocean creatures, but sometimes they just step in to help. This happened in Pittenweem, near St. Andrews in Scotland, where 26 pilot whales got stranded on the shore. They were in bad condition and were unable to return to the water. Mass strandings happen when a group of whales come ashore together, and they often don't make it back. While strandings can occur naturally, certain other factors also play a role, and these whales couldn't get themselves out of it. It highlights how life is in the sea, even for its larger ones. Biggest mass stranding in decades. You may have seen sea animals wash ashore before, but never like this. Over 50 pilot whales appeared on a beach in Scotland. Pilot whales are known for their strong social bonds, often staying together as a group when one member is in trouble. This time, the charity British Divers Marine Life Rescue suspected that one female whale had birthing complications, causing the entire pod to follow her ashore. 55 whales were stranded in this event. It reveals how deeply connected these creatures are and highlights the urgent need to understand and act to prevent such mass strandings in the future. Electrofishing. You have seen people fishing, but have you seen a different way in which not just one or two, but tons of fish are caught at one time in a controlled way? Well, this process is known as electrofishing, used to capture fish, like the Asian carp, in a safe and controlled way. A boat equipped with electrical equipment sends out a current into the water, stunning the fish temporarily and causing them to float to the surface. This technique is often used for research or to control invasive species, like the carp, to protect local ecosystems. Rare shark feeding frenzy. You've seen shark feeding frenzies before, but have you ever seen one this close to the shore? On October 9th, at Cape Lookout National Seashore in North Carolina, a group of people witnessed an incredible sight. A shark feeding frenzy. Over 100 sharks swam close to shore, chasing bluefish while seagulls and pelicans swooped in for their share. The sharks were so focused that some even briefly beached themselves. The whole event lasted over 5 minutes, and the group even caught fish without bait. It's a suggestion of the area's healthy ecosystem, showing nature's balance in action. Seaweed Mystery. The ocean is full of surprises, but this one stood out like no other. A video surfaced showing a man surrounded by a strange black mass near the rocky shore. At first glance, it looked unsettling, almost like some creepy creature, but upon closer inspection, it turned out to be kelp or seaweed floating on the ocean's surface. This natural phenomenon happens when seaweed detaches from the ocean floor and is carried by tides or currents. It appeared the man was there to collect it, likely aware of its numerous benefits and uses. Feeding frenzy. These tourists went to the ocean to enjoy the beautiful view, but they didn't expect what they saw. A school of fish was swimming near the surface, but what made it even more surprising was the feeding frenzy happening around them. Humpback whales and sea lions were hunting the fish, splashing through the water in a wild chase. So, why did the fish swim up to the surface? Well, when they're chased by predators, they panic and swim toward the top, making them easier to spot. This leads to dramatic feeding frenzies, showing how the creatures in the ocean depend on each other. Compassionate dolphins. We've all heard of the ocean's scary predators, but there's another side to it.
No way.
This video showed fishermen near Cape Town, South Africa, witnessing a surprising sight. They saw many dolphins swimming in a perfect circle, and at first, they were confused by the unusual pattern, but then they discovered the reason. In the center of the dolphins, a whale was giving birth. The dolphins were there to protect the whale from predators. This rare moment highlights that while the sea can be home to aggressive beasts, it also has its share of kind beings, showing that nature can be both wild and compassionate.
Where's that whale gone? He's there.
Floating pumice. This time, NASA didn't make a space discovery. It was straight out of the ocean. Spotted by NASA satellites and witnessed by Australian sailors, this sea of stones is an extraordinary sight. Large pieces, as big as basketballs, stretch all the way to the horizon. The floating pumice raft has already reached waters near Fiji and is expected to reach New Caledonia before arriving in Australia next year. Scientists are hopeful that the raft will bring marine life, like algae, coral, and small sea creatures, helping to boost biodiversity and aid the recovery of the Great Barrier Reef. This rare event, which happens only twice a decade, could bring hope to the fragile Great Barrier Reef. Seaweed Invasion. Beachgoers didn't expect to see this when they hit the beach. In March of 2023, huge amounts of sargassum seaweed washed up on the beautiful beaches of the Caribbean, and now it's heading toward Florida. This brown seaweed was spotted by a travel vlogger during a trip to Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
This is beyond anything I've ever seen. Some places where you can't even see the beach anymore.
He said it was unlike anything he'd ever seen. In some spots, the beach was completely covered, and it wasn't just an eyesore. It smelled like rotten eggs, too. The seaweed is messy, wet, and smelly, and it can even cause breathing problems. And it's only going to get worse.
It is a mess. It's a lot of wet, stinking seaweed. It can cause respiratory problems, and it is toxic.
So, next time you see something like this, make sure to stay away. Shark gathering. Scuba divers were excited to explore the ocean, but before they could dive in, they saw an incredible yet terrifying sight from the surface.
Oh my God!
Off the coast of Norway, they spotted sharks, but not just a few. There were hundreds of them. That wasn't the only strange thing. The sky was filled with hundreds of crows as well. When you see so many sharks and crows together, it usually means there's food nearby. Sharks can smell it from far away, while crows are looking for scraps or lifeless fish. This often happens after a fishing boat dumps waste, or when a large sea creature's carcass starts floating. It's all about survival for these animals.
I've never seen anything like this. Never! Ever seen anything like this, guys.
It was a clear warning. When animals gather like that, it's not safe to get too close. Shell Beach. Beaches are often known for their soft sand, but in Western Australia, beachgoers experienced something truly remarkable. They stumbled upon not just hundreds or thousands, but millions of seashells scattered across the shore. It was a rare and breathtaking sight, with shells covering every inch of the beach. This stunning scene reminds everyone how nature can surprise us with its incredible surprises, transforming an ordinary beach into a beautiful, natural masterpiece. Night stranding. Waves usually bring water, but in 2014, an incredible thing happened along the coast of Southern California. Millions of grunion fish washed up onto the beaches in an event known as the Grunion Run. This natural spectacle occurs during certain spring and summer months, around the full moon and high tide. Grunion have a unique breeding behavior where females swim up onto the beach during high tide to lay their eggs in the sand, followed by males who fertilize them. Once done, they return to the ocean as the tide recedes. The Grunion Run is a fascinating reminder of the remarkable cycles of nature, captivating those lucky enough to witness it. School of Eels. A tsunami itself is very scary, but a tsunami of ghostly eels is even more terrifying. Just like a nightmare. A video appeared showing not just one, but hundreds of black eels at American Unagi. But what were they doing? Eels are often raised in aquaculture systems for food production, like at American Unagi, where they're raised responsibly to reduce the need for wild harvesting. While this scene may look terrifying to some, for those who eat eels, it feels exciting for them, turning a spooky sight into a feast. Unexpected encounter.
More than a dozen sperm whales have washed up on King Island in Tasmania. At least 14 have been found dead along the west coast. Surfers and swimmers should avoid the area as the carcasses may attract sharks.
Whales are creatures that usually dwell in the depths of the ocean, not on the shores. But sometimes, as in the case of King Island in Tasmania, they end up there unexpectedly. Over a dozen sperm whales, at least 14 in total, were found lifeless along the island's west coast. It's believed their stranding could be due to navigational errors, where they became disoriented by changes in ocean currents or underwater features. Environmental factors like temperature shifts, low oxygen levels, or toxic algae blooms might have also played a part. This tragic event highlights the challenges whales face in the ever-changing ocean environment, indicating to us the importance of protecting their natural habitats. Mass stranding of eels. Floods don't only affect humans, they also have a devastating impact on sea animals, as seen in Canterbury. Thousands of eels were found lifeless after stormy weather and high tides, which could have been avoided if the seawall had been properly maintained. The eels were attempting to migrate when saltwater flooded the area due to a broken stop bank. Despite attempts to relocate some, many didn't survive. The farm owner had warned authorities about the storm and the need for repairs, highlighting how proper maintenance could have prevented this tragic event.
Eels come in here in March and they get ready to migrate, and they're just swimming everywhere looking for a sniff of seawater to get there. Of course, you get the flood, no bank, straight in the creek. They're off across the paddocks.
Folly Beach. Aftermath. Have you ever walked along a quiet beach and suddenly spotted hundreds of starfish scattered across the sand? After Hurricane Ian, this became a reality on Folly Beach, SC, where hundreds of starfish were seen washed ashore. The mass stranding could be linked to the storm's powerful effects on the ocean environment. Hurricanes stir up strong currents, alter water temperatures, and change salinity, which can disorient sea creatures like starfish. The rough seas and strong winds often push them out of their usual habitat, leading to such mass strandings. The sight of so many starfish was a stark reminder of nature's power and how delicate the ocean's ecosystem truly is. Beach turned red. Beach's sands come in different colors, but have you ever seen a red beach? In Concepcion, Chile, thousands of lifeless prawns washed ashore, turning the beach bright red. This strange event may have been caused by sudden changes in sea temperature, low oxygen levels, or water disruptions. Pollution from offshore oil exploration or contaminated food sources could also be factors. Investigations are ongoing to determine if it's a natural occurrence or a sign of environmental trouble. Either way, it's a tragic loss for marine life. Stranded starfish. It is said that temperature only affects people, but that's not completely true. It also affects sea animals. In the UK, thousands of lifeless starfish appeared on the shore, and it was believed that storms and sudden temperature changes caused this event. Scientists believe such occurrences highlight the impact of extreme weather on ocean ecosystems, urging us to pay closer attention to how climate shifts can affect even the smallest creatures in the sea. Whales stranded in Australia. Rescuers at sea are usually expected to save people, but this time they faced an even greater challenge.
Okay.
Around 200 whales were stranded in a remote Australian harbour, and about 90 had already expired. The rescue teams worked tirelessly to save the rest, hoping to minimize the loss. Stranding events like this can happen due to disorientation from ocean changes, illness, predators, or even loud underwater noises like sonar that confuse the whales. This incident highlights how fragile marine life is, and why understanding and protecting these creatures is so important. Every rescue matters, not just for today, but for a better future for these magnificent animals. Jellyfish, infested beach. Beaches are often a place for relaxation and natural beauty, but sometimes nature has other plans. Thousands of jellyfish recently swarmed the shores near Sholkine village in Crimea, turning a peaceful getaway into a strange sight. These jellyfish from the Azov Sea aren't a risk to humans, but they're far from safe. A tourist described their touch as cold, sticky, and unpleasant, with stings that made swimming uncomfortable. Scientists believe this sudden invasion could be due to rising water temperatures or changes in ocean currents. What was meant to be a relaxing beach visit became a suggestion that nature can be full of surprises, some not so pleasant. Mass stranding of Valella. You've probably seen many strandings in the ocean, but nothing quite like this. In May 2013, the shores of Menorca were covered with thousands of Valella, also called by-the-wind sailors. These tiny, jellyfish-like creatures usually drift on the ocean's surface, carried by winds and currents. However, strong and unusual winds pushed them ashore in massive numbers, creating an almost surreal sight. The beach was blanketed in translucent blue bodies, surprising visitors with its scale. While such strandings are natural, their sheer size makes them unforgettable. Events like these show us of the ocean's unpredictable nature and its ability to create unexpected wonders. Beached barbs. Every day, sea animals appear on beaches, but sometimes truly rare creatures emerge.
What is that?
In California, a family came across a stingray, an animal that usually lives in the ocean depths. This time, it had washed ashore, partially covered in sand. Such sightings are extremely rare, as stingrays prefer in-depth waters far from human eyes. Experts believe these events happen due to changes in the environment, like shifts in food availability, human activity, or altered ocean conditions. This unexpected sighting serves as a highlight that changes in the ocean can bring even the most elusive creatures to our shores, showing just how connected we are to the health of marine ecosystems.
That's a stingray. That's a stingray.
Sandy's seashells. These days, it's common to see sea creatures on beaches, but not in such huge numbers. Thousands of mussels washed up on a beach in South Africa, leaving locals stunned. Scientists believe this could be caused by strong sea swells or risky algal blooms, though no signs of red tide have been confirmed yet. Sometimes, massive mussel beds get dislodged by powerful waves or sudden environmental changes. While experts conduct toxicity tests to find the cause, seabirds like seagulls are feasting on the bounty. This rare event shows us nature's unpredictability and how quickly animals adapt to such changes. Cold stone ends. Penguins are usually found in the coldest parts of the world, not on beaches, right? Well, this video might change your mind. In Brazil, around 50 lifeless penguins suddenly washed ashore, leaving many shocked. Scientists believe this could have happened due to changes in ocean currents, toxic algal blooms, or pollution, which disrupt their food supply or cause poisoning. Storms during migration can also risk or disorient them. Injuries from fishing gear or diseases might be other causes. Without further tests, the exact reason remains unclear. This event highlights how fragile marine ecosystems truly are. Sharknado. Sharks are often considered the scariest predators in the ocean, but sometimes even they face problems they can't escape. In a shocking event, dozens of sharks were found washed up on a beach southeast of Mount Gambier, leaving locals and tourists confused. Authorities believe the cause of the mass die-off was likely low sea salt levels, which can create problems for marine life. Seeing so many sharks washed up on the beach left visitors both surprised and curious. It highlights that even the ocean's top predators can be affected by nature's changes, showing just how connected and delicate life under the sea really is. Shark breaks through cage. Diving is often seen as an exciting adventure, but after seeing this, you will change your mind. On October 4th, off Guadalupe Island, Mexico, a great white shark slammed through the side of a safety cage during a diving excursion.
Oh my God.
The shark, attracted by bait set by the tour operators, had enough momentum to break through the bars. After thrashing for a few moments, it escaped through an open hatch. A diver was inside the cage, but luckily avoided the shark by ducking out through the hole made by the shark. This intense encounter serves as a stark indication of the unpredictable nature of the ocean and its creatures, showing that even with precautions, diving alongside predators like great white sharks is never without risks. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. Giant eels can have feeding frenzies too. In New Zealand, hundreds of giant eels gathered in a frenzy after being drawn by the scent of food. The eels, with their sleek, long bodies, swarmed in large numbers, fighting for the food.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Eels are opportunistic feeders, so they quickly gather when food appears. As they glided through the water, their movements created ripples and splashes. This behavior is common when food is introduced to the water, showing the eel's survival instincts and their quick response to food. It's both amazing and intense to watch. Tell us what you think. See you next time.